I caught my golden child stepsister cheating while I watched her kids for free. Then dad threatened to cut me off if I didn't help her cover it up. My parents divorced when I was 10, which was already a nightmare, but things became far worse. After that, my father, David, did not remain single for long. Before I could even understand the divorce, he was already seeing this woman named David. I remember when he initially told me about her, he behaved casually, like, "Hey, I've met someone. We're serious." Then, a few months later, wedding bells rang. It happened so quickly that I doubt I had time to really comprehend what was going on. One minute, it was just me and him. Then the next, David moved in, and I suddenly had a stepsister, Ashley, who was 2 years my junior. I know what you're thinking. Wonderful. A new family, right? But it wasn't like that at all. From the minute they moved in, I felt as if I no longer existed. Ashley became the show's star. It was almost as if the moment David and Ashley arrived, I was pushed to the side. My father treated Ashley like she was the best thing that had happened to him, and she knew it. Ashley was the type of girl who always had her way. My father would go out of his way to get her new clothes, mall trips, and special dinners if she asked for them. Meanwhile, I was lucky to get a good job when I received all A's. It was as if I wasn't present most of the time. I recall asking my father once if we could go to this amusement park that I really enjoyed. We hadn't done anything together in a while, so I figured it would be a wonderful way to bond, you know? He answered, maybe, which I thought sounded good. But guess what? That following weekend, he took Ashley to a pricey art exhibit since she had suddenly decided she liked painting. It didn't matter what we had planned. If Ashley wanted something, it was her priority. It wasn't simply small things. My entire adolescence was spent watching Ashley have everything handed to her while I had to fend for myself. I can't tell you how many times I approached my father for help with something, only to be told, "Ask David," or "Why can't you be more like Ashley?" That last one really stung. And it wasn't just my father. David was equally as terrible. She acted as if Ashley was a perfect angel who could do nothing wrong. Meanwhile, I couldn't get a break. If I did anything marginally wrong, such as arriving home late from school or leaving my room unclean, David would act as if the world had ended. What if Ashley did the same thing? Not a big deal. "Oh, she's just expressing herself," David would explain. It was quite aggravating. Everyone was aware that partiality existed. My buddies would say things like, "Wow, your stepsister really gets everything, huh?" Yes. No kidding. I was living it. What really sucked was that no one in my family appeared to care. When I tried to bring it up, my father would simply brush it off, and David would give me a phony smile and say, "We're all family here." It sure didn't feel like family to me. By the time I was 16, I was pretty much done with everything. Ashley had thoroughly established herself as the golden child, and I had come to understand that nothing I did would ever change this. I kept trying though. I tried talking to my father about how I felt ignored. I remember sitting down with him one night and telling him how much it hurt to see him always choose Ashley over me. How did he respond? He looked at me as if I was being overdramatic and said, "Ashley has had a difficult time adjusting, Emily. You need to be more patient." More patient? I had been patient for 6 years, seeing my father do everything for her while I was left to fend for myself. I simply wanted him to understand how much it hurt, but he wasn't listening. So I started to distance myself. I felt if I wasn't going to catch my dad's attention, I might as well quit trying. I concentrated on school, kept my head down, and devised my own ideas. By the time I graduated high school, I was ready to leave. College was my escape. I moved out when I was 18. And I was honestly relieved to be out of that place. It seemed like a fresh start. I could finally live my life without continuously being compared to Ashley or feeling like I wasn't important. I went to school, earned a degree in graphic design, and secured a decent job in the same city. I didn't travel back home often, except for holidays, and even then, I kept it brief. Ashley and I did not speak, and I was fine with that. We weren't close, and I didn't see the sense of pretending we were. However, a few months ago, everything began to alter again. Ashley and her husband, Jason, have moved to my city. I didn't think much about it at first. I mean, it was strange that she was now living so nearby after years of almost no communication. But I figured, whatever, our lives don't have to collide. Simply because we're in the same location. Ashley called me a few weeks after they moved in and begged for a favor. She wanted me to help them get acquainted with the area, show them around, and possibly assist with the relocation. Because I'm not a complete jerk, I agreed. I didn't want to, but it seemed like the appropriate thing to do. So I took a few days to show them about taking them to some nice neighborhoods and pointing out locations they would enjoy for groceries, schools, and other necessities. That was fine awkward, but okay. After that, I believed I was finished. Okay, I've helped. Now we can get back to our own lives. Nope. About a week later, Ashley began texting me, requesting assistance with the kids. At first, it was little issues. Hey, can you watch Olivia for an hour while I run to the store? Or, can you take Max for a bit so I can unpack? Something like that. I believed it was just temporary while they settled, so I agreed. Then it happened more frequently. It went from once or twice a week to virtually every day, and not just for an hour or two. She dropped the kids off at my house for hours, and I'd be stuck entertaining them while she went out doing who knows what. Don't get me wrong, I adore Olivia and Max. They're cute kids, but I'm not really a kid person, and honestly, I'm not that good with children. I never wanted to be anyone's personal babysitter. You know, I lead my own life. I work from home as a graphic designer, so I'm busy during the day and just want to unwind by the end of it. But instead of having that time for myself, I was now babysitting her children virtually every night. What is the worst part? She didn't even ask politely. After a while, it shifted from, "Hey, can you help out?" to simply dropping the kids off at my door and leaving. Sometimes she didn't even inform me when she'd return. I'd just be sitting there with two kids, figuring out how to keep them entertained while waiting for her to arrive. It was quite aggravating. At first, I attempted to give her the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps she was overwhelmed. Moving to a new city with two small children is not easy. But then I understood. She was simply taking advantage of me. Okay, if it was a serious emergency, I understand. However, this was not always the case. She'd pretend she had errands to run, but I knew she was just hanging out with friends or doing things she could do with the kids. I told her one day, "Ashley, you need to hire a babysitter. I can't keep doing this." She basically brushed me off, as if it was no big thing. "It's just for a little while," she'd say. For example, "I don't trust anyone else with the kids yet." There was always something, and of course, she'd play the weird family card as if it made it okay for her to dump her kids on me anytime she wanted. I was becoming extremely pissed off, but I didn't want to start a fight. I kept thinking, okay, just ride it out. Maybe she'll back off. Spoiler alert, she didn't. Things reached a breaking point on Friday night. I had arrangements with my pals to celebrate Katie's promotion. It was a huge deal, and I was really looking forward to it. I had told Ashley earlier in the day that I couldn't babysit that night. I made it very clear. She replied, "No problem." I thought to myself, great, maybe this will finally give her a wake-up call. Fast forward to 6 p.m. I'm about to go when I hear a knock on the door. I open it, and guess who is standing there with the children? Yep, Ashley. She didn't wait for me to say anything. She simply throws me Olivia and Max, says something about being late, and runs out. I didn't even get the chance to argue. I tried calling her, of course, but nothing happened. I called Jason, but he didn't answer. So there I was, stranded with her kids, and my entire night was wrecked. I was infuriated. I couldn't believe she just ignored anything I said. She knew I had plans. I told her. She didn't care. I ended up texting my friends to tell them I wasn't coming, and I spent the rest of the night babysitting to cranky and tired kids. When Ashley eventually returned around 9 p.m., I was about to explode. I informed her that this couldn't go on and that she needed to find someone else to help her out. She looked at me as if I were the one acting unreasonable. "We're family," she said, as if that was expected to miraculously make things better. I told her right away, "Just because we're family doesn't mean I have to drop everything to help you. I have my own life too." She appeared astonished, as if she couldn't believe I was actually standing up for myself. She became defensive, of course said I was being selfish, that I should be assisting her more because she is new to town and does not know anybody else. But I wouldn't have it. I informed her that I wasn't her free babysitter and that if she wanted help, she should pay someone. I believe she expected me to back down or apologize, but I did not. I was done being taken advantage of. I had had enough of feeling as if my time didn't matter. Ashley departed in a huff, and I assumed that was the end of it. But nah, Things were about to get much worse. A few days after telling Ashley off, I was simply trying to get back into my normal routine, focus on work, and put the whole incident behind me. I didn't want to start any drama, but drama found me anyhow. It was Thursday afternoon when Ashley called. She didn't even say hello. Instead, she said, "I can't believe how selfish you're being." I didn't even have a chance to say anything before she began ranting about how she needed me to help with the kids and how she was going through a difficult time. I took a big breath and told her, "Ashley, I've already told you I can't babysit all the time. I have my own issues to deal with," and I assumed that was it. Is this the end of the conversation? Wrong. She started going on and on about how I should care more since we're family and how it's unfair for her to have to handle everything on her own. At this point, I wonder, is she even hearing me? I tried again to explain that I couldn't drop everything simply because she needed someone to care for the kids. I told her that was not my duty and she had to figure out her own daycare issue. You'd think she'd have gotten it by now, but nah. Instead, she becomes enraged and begins to weep, accusing me of abandoning her when she is most in need of assistance. It was like speaking to a brick wall. And the worst part, after she hung up, I assumed that was the end of it. But then my father called. Now, let me tell you something about my father. He's always had a blind spot when it comes to Ashley. It's as if she can do no wrong in his eyes, whereas I've always had to deal with being second best. What about this phone call? This one took the cake. So my phone rings, and I realize it's my father. I suppose he's calling to check in or something, perhaps to cool the situation down. But as soon as I pick up, I can sense his tone is odd. "Emily," he whispers, "we need to talk about what's been going on with Ashley." I roll my eyes, knowing just where this is going. "Okay, what's up?" I ask, attempting to maintain my composure. He quickly jumps in, stating Ashley is sad and has been struggling with the relocation and the kids, and that I should be more understanding. He's talking as if Ashley is some kind of saint who is simply overwhelmed and I'm the bad guy for not stepping up. I try to interrupt, but he continues, emphasizing how upset he is at me for not helping out more. I eventually get a word in and tell him, "Dad, I have my own life. I can't just drop everything to babysit whenever Ashley wants me to." But he isn't having it. He says something like, "That's what family's for, and you need to be there for your sister." That was when I snapped. I informed him, "Ashley's not my responsibility. She's an adult, and if she can't handle her own kids, she needs to figure that out without dragging me into it." I spoke quietly, but inside I was boiling. But then my father slapped me with something unexpected. He said, "If you don't start helping out more, I'm going to cut you off." Now, when I say cut off, it's not like my father has been paying my expenses or anything. I've been self-sufficient since I left for college, but we've always had this unspoken agreement that he'd assist me if I needed it. He paid for my car insurance and helped pay my rent when I was struggling after college. So when he said cut you off, I knew he meant it. No more assistance, no more financial support, nothing. My initial reaction was one of shock. I couldn't believe he was threatening me just because I refused to babysit for Ashley. Is that really where we are now? So I replied, "Are you really cutting me off over babysitting?" And he did not hesitate. "If you're not going to help your family, then yes." That was when I lost it. I replied, "You know what? Fine, cut me off. I don't need your money. If this is how you're going to treat me, then maybe it's better that we don't talk." He fell silent for a moment, as if he didn't expect me to actually speak up for myself, but he simply sighed and replied, "I'm really disappointed in you, Emily. You've changed." Changed? I had not altered. I had finally hit my limit. I'd spent years watching Ashley receive everything handed to her while I struggled for scraps, and now I'm being told I'm selfish for declining to be her free babysitter? I decided not to argue anymore. I simply said, "I'm done," before hanging up. Following the call, I felt a variety of emotions. Part of me was outraged, upset that my father was so oblivious to what was going on, irritated that Ashley had manipulated the situation to make me appear like the bad guy. But another part of me was just sad that my father couldn't understand how unjust he was being, and sad that I was losing what little relationship I had with him. I sat down for a bit, trying to comprehend everything. I considered texting Ashley and trying to reason with her. But what was the point? She obviously did not care about me or my boundaries. She only wanted what she wanted, and if I didn't give it to her, I was the bad person. After a while, I decided it was enough. I wasn't going to allow their guilt to get to me anymore. If my father wants to cut me off, great. Ashley could cry at not having me as her personal babysitter, but I wasn't about to let them walk all over me. I turned off my phone, cooked myself some dinner, and decided I was done with the drama. If they wanted to talk, they could, but I wasn't going to pursue them. I assumed that was the end of it, but of course, things weren't over. The very following day, Ashley texted me. It wasn't one of her typical passive-aggressive messages, nope. This one was really aggressive. She stated something like, "I can't believe you turned your back on your family. You've always been selfish, and now you're showing your true colors. Don't bother coming around if you're not willing to help. Now, I'm not sure about you, but being called selfish by someone who has been using me as a free babysitter for weeks, that is an impressive sum." I was fed up with her attitude and refused to let her manipulate the narrative any longer. I responded back, telling her straight up, "I've helped you more than enough, and you've done nothing but take advantage of me. I'm not your babysitter. Find someone else." I was pissed, but at the same time, I felt a strange sort of relief. As if I was finally telling her what I should have spoken a long time ago. No more skirting around her emotions, no more allowing her to walk all over me. I was finished, but then something strange occurred. Later that day, I received a call from one of my friends, Jessica. She seemed hesitant, as if she didn't want to talk to me about what she was going to say. She goes, "Hey, so I ran into Ashley earlier today at the mall, and she was with some guy. At first, I didn't think much about it. Ashley was married to Jason, so perhaps she was simply hanging out with a friend or something." But Jessica kept talking. She didn't see me, but they were acting really close, like too close. They were holding hands, and I'm pretty sure they kissed. I froze. What? Ashley, the same Ashley who had been making me feel bad for not helping with her kids, was out at the mall with a guy behind Jason's back? I could not believe it. Part of me did not want to believe it, but Jessica was not the sort to lie or exaggerate. She was as astonished as I was. I thanked Jessica for telling me and hung up, my thoughts racing. I began replaying everything in my head, the sudden need for me to babysit all the time, the weird errands she had to run. Everything began to click. She was neither overwhelmed nor struggling with being a mother. She was having me watch her kids so she could sneak around with this guy. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Here I was, feeling bad for not assisting her, wondering whether I was in the wrong, while she was simply using me to cheat on her husband. I couldn't let it go. Jason was a wonderful guy who didn't deserve to be abused that way. I wasn't going to sit there and let her get away with it, so I decided I was going to expose her. The following time Ashley called and asked me to babysit. I accepted. I wanted to catch her in the act, and this seemed like an excellent opportunity. She dropped off Olivia and Max as usual, and I pretended that everything was all right. Instead of staying at home with the kids, I packed them in my car and drove them to Jessica's residence. I knew they would be safe there for a while. Then, I headed to the mall where Jessica had spotted Ashley and the mysterious guy. I parked my car and waited. I did not have to wait long. About a half hour later, I noticed her heading out of the mall, arm in arm with the same guy Jessica had mentioned. They seemed far too comfortable to be merely pals. I took a couple shots from my car to demonstrate what was going on before leaving. I did not confront her right then. I wanted to do it the proper way, not in a public setting that would blow up in my face. When I got home, I texted the photos to Jason. I did not sugarcoat anything. I told him what I had discovered. Ashley had been using me to babysit so she could sneak around with this guy behind his back. It was definitely one of the most difficult texts I'd ever had to send, since I knew it would destroy him. However, he deserved to know the truth. Jason did not reply right away. I didn't expect him to. I couldn't imagine what he was going through at that time. I just hoped he didn't try to ignore it or make excuses for her. He was a decent guy, and he did not deserve to be treated that way. A few hours later, I received a response. Jason thanked me for informing him. He said he was sad, but he suspected something was going on. He informed me he planned to confront her that night. Oh wow, did he face her? The next morning, I was inundated with texts from Ashley. She was infuriated. She accused me of destroying her life and poking my nose where it did not belong. She tried to twist everything, claiming that I was only bitter and envious and that I wanted to destroy her family. It was wild, as if I was the bad guy for telling the truth. I didn't bother responding. There was nothing more to say. Ashley's guilt tripping would not change my mind about doing the right thing. Later that day, I received another SMS from my father. He wasn't pleased either. Ashley reportedly ran to him, weeping about how I had betrayed her and was attempting to destroy her marriage. And of course, my father supported her because why wouldn't he? He sent me a lengthy text about how disappointed he was in me, how I should have remained out of it, and how I was not acting like a member of the family. That's when I understood there was no way to rectify this. My father was never going to see things from my perspective. He had gone too far when it came to Ashley. Whatever I did, he'd always see me as selfish. So I sent him a quick and basic text back. I replied, "If you can't see that I did the right thing, then maybe it's better we don't talk." And that was all. I cut him off. I cut Ashley off. I was finished. Ashley started reaching out again less than a week after I introduced her to Jason. I was receiving texts like, "I know we've had our differences, but we're still family, and you can't just walk away from this." She was trying to guilt me, as she often does. It was the same old deception. She was not sorry for what she had done. She was only sorry she had been caught. Initially, I ignored it. What else was I expected to do? I wasn't about to deal with someone who had taken advantage of me and then turned the matter around to make me appear terrible. But she didn't give up. The texts continued flowing, and then the calls began. She would leave long, rambling voicemails about how I had ruined her marriage and how she didn't know what to do without me. Everything was so false. She was attempting to make me feel awful for standing up for myself. And honestly, I wasn't falling for it. However, Jason unexpectedly called me. I hadn't actually spoken to Jason since I sent him the images of Ashley and the other guy. After that, I kind of let him deal with his own issues. I believed he needed time to comprehend everything, and I didn't want to be engaged in the aftermath. But when I saw his name on my phone, I became scared. I wasn't sure whether he was phoning to thank me or to lash out. So I picked up, and to my surprise, Jason was actually very calm. He said, "Hey, I just wanted to say thank you." I felt put off. I had no idea what to expect, but thank you was not at the top of the list. He went on to say that when I told him about Ashley's affair, he confronted her and revealed everything. Ashley attempted to lie at first, but when he showed her the images, she couldn't keep up the facade. They evidently had a tremendous disagreement, and she admitted it all. Jason informed me that he was filing for divorce, and it had been a long time coming. I wasn't sure what to say. I felt awful for him, but I was also thrilled he was finally sticking up for himself. He deserved better than what Ashley had put him through. Jason informed me he was intending to leave the city, take the kids, and start over somewhere else. He didn't want them to be around the drama, and he didn't trust Ashley to prioritize their needs. I did not blame him. After everything she'd done, it was obvious that she just cared about herself. We talked for a little longer, and then he said something that resonated with me. "You did the right thing, Emily. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." To be honest, that was precisely what I needed to hear. For so long, I had doubted myself, wondering if I was the problem or if I was being too severe. But hearing Jason say that, and him thanking me for exposing the truth, made me understand I wasn't the bad guy in this scenario. I was simply someone who had had enough. I felt lighter after hanging up with Jason, like I could finally breathe again. However, things were not quite over. Ashley was not done yet. She continued to try to reach out by texting and leaving voicemails. She even tried to come to my flat a few times, but I wouldn't have it. I banned her number and instructed the building manager not to let her in. I'd had enough of the drama, and I wasn't going to let her guilt me back into her mess. The final straw, however, was when my father attempted to become involved again. I hadn't spoken to him since our previous dispute, but one night he called me unexpectedly. I did not respond, but he left a voicemail. In it, he sounded desperate. He was talking about how family is everything and how he did not want to lose me. He kept telling me how Ashley was going through a difficult period and that I should try to be more understanding. I listened to the voicemail, and something clicked for me. My father was never going to change. He was always going to prioritize Ashley, no matter what. He would always make excuses for her, while I would always be on the outside looking in. I realized I didn't need that type of negativity in my life anymore. So I made a decision. I called him back. When he picked up, I kept things simple. I told him I loved him, but I couldn't keep on like this. I couldn't keep sacrificing my own peace of mind to keep the family together. I told him that if he couldn't respect my boundaries and view things from my perspective, maybe we shouldn't talk for a bit. He started to argue, but I stopped him. I assured him I was no longer mad, I was just exhausted. I was tired of always having to bend and give in. I was finished, and that was all. Following that call, I cut off contact with both my father and Ashley. I realize that sounds harsh, but it's what I needed to do for my own sanity. Sometimes you simply have to walk away, even if it is from your family. It's been a few months since all of this happened, and I'm considerably better off. I got my peace back. I got my life back. I am no longer dealing with the continual drama, deception, and guilt trips. I've started focusing on myself and my own happiness, and it feels really nice. Sure, I miss my father at times, but I do not miss the tension that he brought with him. I haven't heard from Ashley since, and I am absolutely okay with that. Sometimes you simply have to choose.